Hello and welcome to another Tabletop Ramblings Middle-earth strategy battle game battle report. In this battle report, we're going to be using a custom scenario that pitches elf against goblin in some nautical carnage. In the long-lost city of Elflantis, goblins now rule. But two elven factions have stumbled upon this once glorious city, and now the elves of Lothlorien and Rivendell seeking to take back what was once their kin. This custom scenario features victory points awarded under three different sections. The first is about objectives and land. There are 6 objectives scattered throughout the board. For each one that is destroyed, the team that has destroyed it will gain 3 points. There's a central island, and whoever controls this at the end of the game will gain 5 points. There are also a number of goblins that infest this land, and there are points awarded based around them. 1 victory point is awarded for each goblin killed, and 5 points are awarded if one team is able to kill the goblin king. Finally, points are awarded for killing the enemy faction. 2 victory points for each enemy killed, 5 for killing the enemy leader, 5 for killing their banner, and if you can control the enemy's primary ship, it's 15 points. Details of the scenario will be in the description below. This game is going to run for 10 turns, after which we'll count up the points and see who has won. For this scenario, both of the elven forces have the same setup for boats. Both forces have a large primary boat, 2 small and medium-sized boats, and 1 small dinghy. The forces are also the same, with 4 bowmen, 4 with sword, and 4 with spear and shield. There's also a banner, and then the leader. We're taking inspiration from battle companies with our leader. This leader here for the High Elves, portrayed by Elrond, is a normal warrior, but with 1 might, 1 will, and 1 fate. The leader for the Lothlorien Elves is Haldir, but again, a normal warrior with 1 might, 1 will, and 1 fate. For the various goblins scattered around, we're using rules, again, similar to battle companies, in that they are effectively NPCs, non-playable characters, and they will just attack or shoot at whoever is closest. Movement for the boats is very simple. Each boat can move 10 inches, with the larger, more unwieldy boats using the rules for chariots. Both forces set up with the back of each boat touching their board edge. Neither side is particularly good or evil, so for the purposes of this battle, the High Elves with Elrond will be in the green dice and will be the 4, 5 or 6 on a roll-off, and Lothlorien will be using red dice and they will be a 1, 2 or 3 on the roll-off. So without further ado, let's roll for first turn priority. It goes to Lothlorien. Lothlorien turn 1 have advanced with their ships, with the longboat here coming up to this ruined ship. These 2 attacking the goblin, and they are going to try and climb up to destroy that objective. And over here, this
boat has emptied 2 warriors to start trying to take this objective up here as well, while the archer is remaining still to take shots. Elf move, and this medium ship and the small one have both moved their elves to attack this island here, to overwhelm it with weight of numbers. The large primary ship is going after the central island, and this smaller medium ship is going to try and take hold of this land here and destroy that objective, and hopefully get some kills whilst they do it. That is the table at the end of turn 1. Let's get straight into shooting. Should have mentioned that in keeping with the rules for moving models that are non-playable characters in battle companies, they always move and act first, which is why they've not made counter charges. But it does mean that they'll be shooting first. So this goblin here, targeting the closest enemy, is that shieldman. He hits on a 5, he's not moved. He has hit on a 6, another 6 will kill. Oh, wrong way round there. That goblin doesn't quite get the kill there. We then have a goblin up here, shooting straight down into an archer. And he has missed. The next archer is up here, this chap, again firing. In fact, his closest enemy is probably Elrond round there, the leader. He hits, another 6 to wound. It is a 6. He has wounded Elrond there, who has a point of fate, and he makes it. Elrond is alive. That would have been a very ignoble death for the leader there of the High Elves. He is down a point of fate, setting him back from early on. We then have an archer here. His closest target is this chap there. He misses. We then have another archer up there, and his closest target will be the elf in the boat. He misses on a 1. Up here we have 2 more archers. This one is going to shoot down there and miss. Oh no, that's a hit. And a 5, not enough to kill. We then have this chap here shooting that archer. He misses on a 4. We then have a final archer up there shooting into the archer in the boat. And that is a 4, so no kills from the goblin archers, although a point of fate off Elrond. Next to shoot are the elves with priority, which are the Lothlorien elves. And this archer is going to shoot into that spearman. He hits, and he kills on the 5. That is the first goblin down, and points to the Lothlorien. Next we have this archer here. He is going to be shooting up into that archer. He hits. Does it go through the barrier? Yes. Does he kill? No, he doesn't. Then that archer there is going to be shooting up into the goblin. He hits, but no wounds. Then finally, in the distance, that Lothlorien archer shooting upwards. He misses. And that is all of the shooting for Lothlorien. Final force to shoot are the High Elves. And this archer is going to shoot into the spearman. He misses. This bowman is going to shoot the same spearman and miss. And then that bowman again into the spearman. He hits. 5+ to kill. He does not kill. Then last we have this bowman here. He's going to take a long shot down into that sword and shield. He hits. A 5+ to kill. He's killed him. 1 death. 1 kill, in fact, apiece
for both of our sets of elves. Let's go straight into the combat phase. We'll start off down in the bottom right with 2 on 1. The goblin's not going to shield, he's just going to fight normally and try and get kills. He's lost, and he would have lost anyway. He goes down on 5s. No, he's fine. He just backs away further into the ruins of that ship. We then come up to the top right of the board where we have 2 on 2. And another 6. Oh, 5 and a 6 on both there. Sets of dice there, but the goblin definitely can't beat the elves for fight value. Needing 5s to wound. And that 6 brings down a goblin. That is another kill for Lothlorien. Netting points there and getting closer to taking that objective. We'll then come across where we have the final combat. 2 high elves against a goblin, who again is just going to be fighting normally and going for the kill. Oh, too many dice there. The elves win on the draw. Needing 5s. They don't kill. That goblin backs away, and that is the end of the turn. End of turn 1, and in these early stages, the goblins are already starting to fall. Let's go into turn 2. Priority. And on the draw, this time it goes to Rivendell. But first, it will be the goblins. Turn 2 movement saw the goblins engaging what they could where elves were present, and then in the elven move the high elves here were tied up and this bowman decided to stay still for some shots. Over here these ships both disembarked their occupants with the bowman there staying still for shots, but these two getting ready to charge next turn, and a contingent including the elven banner and captain making landfall in the centre, ready to try and claim this. In the Lothlorien move, a similar thing happened, with this ship managing to do a 2 pivot turn and disembarking their leader and 2 elven warriors, with the banner effective but safe on the ship. And this bowman ran far enough up to be able to take the banner if a lucky archer is able to take him out. Turn 2 shoot phase. With the goblins first, there are these 2 bowmen into the elven archers, but both miss. We then have this archer shooting into the bowman, but he misses. And then that archer again shooting another bowman, but he misses as well. We then have this bowman here shooting into that elf, and he misses on the 1. The final goblin shot is this chap here shooting into the Lothlorien elf, but he misses on a 3. With high elf priority, these 2 elves are going to shoot into these 2 goblins, hitting on 3s, that's 1 hit, wounding on 5s, no wounds there. The high elf archer here is going to shoot into that Lothlorien elf. He hits, and it's then 5s to a wound, and that is a wound. A Lothlorien elf falls to a high elf bow. This elf archer here is going to shoot at the high elf. He's seen him cut down one of his friends and he's going to retaliate. He's hit.
Oh, but he doesn't find the mark. And the Lothlorien elf has not managed to wound. We then have this elf here shooting into the goblin. And he misses. This elf has moved too far. And so now it is this chap here firing up. He hits. But on a 1, he does not wound. We'll start the combat phase with the fights down in the left-hand side. And it's this 2-on-1. The high elves win on a 3 high. And they're wounding on 5s. And that there is another goblin down. We then have a 1-on-1. And it goes to the goblin. Can the goblin kill him on a 5+? No. He backs away, back towards the ship. Another 1-on-1. Ooh, that is a draw. It's difficult to see with all the glare here from this reflective sea. He doesn't kill. He backs away. We'll stick the elf back on the island. The next fight is this 3-on-1. Again, the goblin is going to fight. In fact, he's going to stab. Ooh, he drew the fight there in the 2, but elven fight value is enough. So we'll roll the 2 that are not Haldir first. No kill. Haldir, only a 1. Not worth any might anyway, but also definitely nothing you can do on the 1. So those 3 elves just push the goblin back. The next fight is this 2-on-1. And again, abysmal rolling. The elves win though on a 2 high, needing 5s. And they've got him there. That is another dead goblin. The final fight is another 2-on-1 up there. Some more low rolls, but it goes to the elves on a draw, but they are unable to wound, and he backs away. End of turn 2, and the high elves are pulling ahead. They have not killed as many goblins, but with killing an elf and destroying an objective, they have taken an early lead. Let's go into turn 3 priority. It goes to Lothlorien. End of turn 3 movement, and that was a very eventful movement phase. The goblins charged where they were able to, and have managed to tie up all of the elves attacking the centre. Then in Lothlorien's move, the 2 elves here were able to climb up and attack the goblins, but this elf tried and failed to the climb and landed smack back onto the broken decks. Going for a risky play, the single elf sailed his boat through and got onto the enemy's command boat. The ship here as well, the large Lothlorien ship, has abandoned the leader and 2 elves to sail around to try and trap that large boat and go for gold. The elves, high elves, have turned to shoot at the new foe, relying on this spearman here to jump across and handle the enemy spearman, although on a 1 he tripped, slipped and smacked his head into the decking and is now prone. So that's turn 3 move. Let's go into turn 3 shooting. We'll start off the shoot phase as always with the goblins. It's these 2 archers shooting the 2 elven archers, but on a 1 and a 2 they both miss. The next shot is this bowman here firing straight into the banner. He misses on a 3. We then have this archer here going for him. He is closer, but there's stuff in the way, so he's going for the closest clean shots. He hits on the 6, but a 1 he does not wound. Then finally, up in the distance, we have a shot into the elf, but it misses there on a 3. Lothlorien priority. So this elf is going to shoot into this combat between the elves and the goblin. He hits. Is he going to hit the elf or the goblin? The goblins are a 1, 2, 3. He hits the goblin, but does not kill. That would have been a good shot there if he'd have been able to kill that goblin and stop the high elves from claiming a kill. Final shot for Lothlorien is this elf here, going for the long shot again at the elf in the boat. He hits, needing a 5 to kill, and on the 6 he has killed a high elf bowman. The high elves respond with shots of their own, and this elf is going to shoot into the bowman in front of the banner. He hits on the 3, but he doesn't kill. We then have these two here going for the banner and the chap that will pick up the banner. 2 hits, 2 5+s will take out the banner and the bowman. Oh, and it's a 5 and a 6! They have killed the bowman and the banner, netting some serious points there. That is some good archery from the high elves. We'll start the combat phase off with Lothlorien. A 1-on-1. And it goes to Lothlorien, needing a 5 to kill. No, but that goblin is trapped. Yes, the goblin goes down. We have another fight there. Oh, and it's a draw, so it goes to Lothlorien. If we can fish the dice out. He has killed him on the 5. Spent so long fishing the dice out, we lost track of what we were doing. That is 2 dead goblins, getting more points for Lothlorien. We then come up to the 2-on-1. Lothlorien really need to clear this little island so that they can get back in the boat and get to where they're needed. They win on the 4+, but don't kill. 3 and a 1. Again, the goblin just backs away. Some more fighting here. We've got a 2-on-1, and the front elf in the bigger dice is going to 2-hand. They've won with the spearman there getting the 5. So now it's 5s on the small dice and 4 on the big. And he goes down. No need to 2-hand there. Lothlorien carving through goblins now. And now we have the leader fight. We'll give him the big dice. He's not 2-handing. He's too valuable to risk. Oh, but he loses the fight. He is going to be wounded there on 5s. Oh, and he's taken a wound. The leader there, Haldir, taking a wound. He's got fate. Oh, and it's a 3. He's going to have to spend his fate and his might just to stay alive. We'll stick with the island and we'll do this series of 1-on-1s. And with it being Lothlorien's priority, we're going to do the High Elf banner first. That is a, if we can find the right dice, a 1-on-1, but -1 for the elf. Oh, he's lost. He can obviously banner himself to a 1. He has lost and he's going down on 5s. No, the banner lives and backs away. We then have the hero fighting there against another goblin. And again he loses, but he does have the banner reroll to a 5 and he wins it on fight value there. Can he get a kill? Yes, he can. Elrond, when he's still young and inexperienced, has got that kill. We then have a 1-on-1 again. It goes to the elves. Can they kill? Yes. The elves doing much better there. The high elves doing much better than the Lothlorien elves when it comes to claiming ground on the central island. 2 kills there, getting them some more points there for kills. And we'll come across to this fight here. It's a 2-on-2. And it goes to the goblins. Can they wound? Yes. They kill the elf, and the spearman has to back away into the boats. That is a bad result there for the high elves. Next, we'll do this atrocious fight here. The prone elf who launched into combat only to slip and fall against the spearman. The prone elf is definitely there going to be shielding, and he wins, meaning that he pushes back the brave but possibly foolish Lothlorien elf, and he is able to stand back on his command ship. Then the final fights, we have 2-on-1. It's 2 elves on a goblin. They win there on the 6. Can they kill? Yes, that goblin finally goes down. Then we have a 2-on-1 again. Oh, but this time it goes to the goblin. The goblin is going to go after the warrior there that's not got a shield. We're ignoring the shields model on them, but he doesn't wound, and they back away. End of turn 3, and both sides taking and inflicting heavy losses. Let's roll for priority. Turn 4. It goes to the high elves. End of turn 4, and the goblins have nearly been eradicated from the centre. The goblins have tried to do what they can to hold back the elves, but they have very few numbers, except for those guarding the king up on the elven towers. Again, on this island, a similar story, just 1 goblin left, although on these 2, the goblins are staying strong, especially this one here on the top left, where they have repelled the elves and have even managed to get onto the boat and are going to make a getaway. In the elven movement, the high elves have consolidated the attacks here with the leader and banner on a goblin. This elf here ran and destroyed an objective, and the elves have all joined the fray on the command ship. Elves left this island onto a boat to try and assault the enemy command ship, and here in the Lothlorien elf move, they destroyed an objective and have got into their smaller boat, ready to try and relieve their command ship. It's all getting very, very tense, and it's only turn 4. Let's get stuck straight into the shoot phase. This Lothlorien ship is in a lot of trouble. Will the goblin inadvertently help out the elves by taking out the high elf? No, not on a 1. He has missed. These 2 goblins on this bastion of goblin strength are going to be shooting into this combat here. 5+ to hit. No hits there. It's a 3 and a 4. In the centre, we have this goblin here shooting into that archer, but he misses on a 2. And finally for the goblins, we have the goblin archer up there shooting at his favourite target. But again, he's missed. High elf priority, but they have no shots. So this Lothlorien elf is going to shoot into the combat there that's got high elf, banner and leader against a goblin. That is a good fight for him to shoot into. If he can kill any of those, that's good for him. But he misses on a 1. The final shot is the Lothlorien command ship. This elf here shooting into the elf there, the high elf. He's hitting on 3s. He's hit. He needs a 5 now. He needs to clear some enemies off the ship, and he's done it. On the 6, he has killed the high elf who dared take his ship. We'll go into the combats, and we'll start off down here on the bottom left with the 2-on-1. Can they clear this island? Yes. Hopefully. They win the fight there. Will they kill? Oh yes, 2 5s. That goblin archer is down. We then come up to a much less favourable fight. We have the elf in the boat against 2. He is going to fight normally. There's no point in shielding, prolonging the inevitable. Oh, he's won there on the 6. The goblin's got one as well, but he's got the fight value. He's going to try and kill. No, he doesn't kill, and they back away. The next fight is Elrond and the banner against the goblin there. The banner is a -1 in the small dice, and Elrond is the bigger dice. Oh no! They've lost. There is the banner. Elrond needs to win this. No, that is not good. 2 good targets there. The elf is going to go after the leader. And on the 5 has wounded him and killed him because he's already lost his fate. That is leader down for the high elves. With the untimely death of Elrond, these high elves want to prove themselves worthy, and they are going to try and kill that elf that has invaded their ship. It's 3-on-2 because the elf is going to shield. The Lothlorien elf, shielding there in the red, has lost the fight. He is defense 6 with his shield, so these are 6s, but they are double strikes. So nothing on the first lot, and nothing on the second. They all back away, and that elf lives to fight another day. The final fight is up in the top right. We have the spearmen against the 2 elves. The elves win there on the 6. Can they kill on a 5? No. And that goblin just backs away again. In fact, it's not quite the final fight. There is still some fighting warriors on the island. We have Haldir and spearmen against a goblin. And the goblin wins. He's going after Haldir. Just a 5 to kill. No, Haldir backs away, as does the elf. Then this final fight here, it's high elf on Lothlorien elf. They are both going to 2-hand. Going big or go home. Who does it go to? It's a draw. So on a 1, 2, 3, it's Lothlorien. 4+, it's the high elf. Lothlorien elf gets it. So he's wounding on 5s down to 4s. But it's a 2. And he doesn't win the fight. That is the end of the turn. End of turn 4, and things are continuing to move very, very quickly. A lot of elves and goblins are falling. Both command ships under attack. Let's go into turn 5 priority. And it goes to the Lothlorien elves. End of turn 5 movement. This is how the table is looking. The goblins have done what goblins do, charging where able. In Lothlorien's move, the archer on the boat has charged into the 2 high elves to try and keep them off his ship, while reinforcements have arrived and unloaded 2 more elves to hold the Lothlorien command ship. The elf attacking the high elf command ship is still getting bogged down, but he's just hoping to tie up elven numbers. We then have, in the high elf move, the elves have destroyed another objective and are starting to get into the boats, ready to sail back to join the fray. That's all of the moves. Let's jump into the shoot phase. Once again, These two goblins are going to shoot into the combat. They both hit there on a 6 and 5. Do they slice through the sail on a 3+? Yes, they both do. And then do they hit High Elf or Lothlorien Elf? 1, 2 or 3, it is Lothlorien Elf. 4, 5, 6, it's High Elf. Oh, one of each. So the High Elf is not killed there, needing a 6. And the Lothlorien Elf is killed. The Lothlorien Elf goes down, taking him out of the combat and setting that ship free of enemy control. This Goblin Archer here is going to shoot into this Spearman. He misses there on the 4 with the glare. I half thought that might have been a 5. We then have this Archer here shooting into him. And that is a 5. That is a hit. Does he kill? Is that the 6? Yes, it is. He's been shooting him all game. And he has finally bitten the dust and goes down to Archer fire. After the goblins have sliced through elven flesh with arrows, we go into the combat phase as no elves have shots, as the only elven archer with a shot has gone down to arrow fire. We'll do this fight first. It's the 2-on-1, and it goes to the High Elves. They need to get this kill now. They need to try and take this big ship. It's worth 15 points. And the 5 is a kill. They've brought that elf down, and they will be free as long as they can get priority to start putting a lot of pressure on that ship. The next fight along is Haldir and Friend against a Goblin. The Goblin's going to stab. Oh, he's won. The Goblin has won the fight. So the Elves back away, but Haldir can't. Haldir is trapped. So these are double strikes needing 5s, and the 6 kills him. The second Elven leader to be killed by Goblins. We now come to this fight here, and again they're both going to 2-hand. It's a draw again. 1, 2, 3, it's Lothlorien. On the 6, it is the High Elf. Needing just a 4 to wound, but it's a 1. And he backs away again. Oh, wrong way around. Lothlorien Elf backs away. We then come to the banner fight. It's the banner on 1. And it's definitely the Goblin there, but he can banner himself. Still loses. Will the Goblin continue his killing spree? He's killed Elrond. Can he kill the banner? Oh, no, he can't, but he pushes the banner right back to the sea. Next, we have this elf in the boat against 2. He's going to fight normally, and he wins. Can he kill on a 5? No, and the Goblins just back away again. Final fight of the fight phase is this long battle. The Elves need to break through. They have won the fight. Their 4's beating the Goblin 3. Can they get the 5? No, it's 2 2s. And the Goblin just backs away again. They are just unable to take that bastion there. Another savage turn as we enter turn 6 priority. And this is an important one for Lothlorien. They need priority here to stand the best chance of keeping their command ship in their control. Oh, and it goes to the High Elves. That is not good news for Lothlorien. End of turn 6 movement, and the Goblin usurpers are continuing to throw themselves into Elves while their numbers thin. The Elves, fighting amongst themselves, are in a deadly swirl. There's fighting on the central island,
And the Lothlorien command ship is the site now of a epic scrap here between the elves who have reinforced the boat and the high elves. And the high elves have reinforcements coming, their own command ship and the smaller ship there. It is going to be one of the big make or break battles on that ship. But before we get into that, let's go for the shoot phase. First off, we have the 2 goblins shooting into the archers. 1, no, misses. That was not a 5, it's just a 4. We then have this goblin here shooting into that fight. He misses on the 3. Then this goblin here is going to get a clean shot into that elf there, but misses as well. And then finally, the goblin archer up there has no shots as he's killed his favourite pincushion. These 2 elves are going to return fire into the archer up there. 1 hits, but does not kill. In the combat phase, we'll start off in the top right with this 2-on-1. It goes to the elves just on a 2 high. Can they get the kill? Yes, finally, the goblin goes down. Swinging round, we come to the top left, where we have the high elf spearman against 2, who loses. He will be going down on 6s. No, he's absolutely fine, but he's now backed off as far as he can possibly retreat. The bannerman against the goblin next. Oh, and the banner wins. Can he kill? Yes. The bannerman has been pushed back and back, but now he's killed the goblin that was assailing him. We then come to the top of the central island, where the 2 elven warriors are dueling, fighting 2-hand. Oh, it goes to Lothlorien this time, just a 4 to kill him. And the high elf is killed, netting more points there for Lothlorien. The next fight is this 1-on-1 here. It's a goblin against a Lothlorien spearman. And the Lothlorien there wins on the 6. It's 6s apiece. Can he get a 5+ to kill? No, he pushes the goblin back instead. On the primary ship for Lothlorien, things are tense here. Lothlorien need to break these high elves apart before high elf reinforcements arrive. So with that in mind, this high elf is going to shield, holding out for reinforcements, and the 2 Lothlorien elves are going to 2-hand. Oh, it's a draw there because the 2-hand drops it by 1 to a 4. So on a 1, 2 or 3, the Lothlorien elves win. And it's a 2. Their 2-handing has paid off. They're getting kills on 5s with their 2-handers. And it's a 6 anyway. They could have avoided some stress there, but they've done what they needed to do. And they've killed that high elf. It's now a 1-on-1. And the high elf is going to fight normally. The Lothlorien elf is going to 2-hand. Oh, and the Lothlorien elf's bravery has paid off again. This time he's wounding on 4s, and he gets him. That is another high elf warrior dead. The Lothlorien elves there, slaughtering all that would dare try and steal their ship. End of turn 6, and that was a big swing for Lothlorien. They've started to break through the top right, and importantly, they've killed all of the attackers who were trying to take their ship and have secured it. Although it could prove to just be a temporary reprieve as there are more high elves on the way. Let's roll for turn 7 priority. And it goes to the high elves. End of turn 7 movement. Things hotting up now in this 10-turn game with the goblins now very thin on the ground, but again just charging where they're able to. This goblin here leaping over the objective to go into an elf. The main drama has been round the ship though, where the high elves have charged in with both of their boats and swarmed onto the deck. Although the elf here jumped, the Lothlorien elf managed to jump off the cliff straight on to the high elf boat and has thrown himself into combat, rolling a 6 to make that jump. And then on the ship, the 3 Lothlorien elves have charged into combat to hold their command ship. It is going to be some tense few turns of fighting on that ship. The only other thing of note is the high elf banner managed to jump onto this little dinghy and is going to try and get to safety, having abandoned the centre here to the Lothlorien elves. We'll start as always with these 2 goblins, and this one is closest to the banner. He hits. Does he kill? Yes! Oh, that's unbelievable. The banner fled to safety in the boat, only to be shot by a goblin arrow. That is unfortunate for the high elves, but here is another goblin, and he is shooting into that unengaged archer. He hits. Does he get another 6? No, just a 1. That arrow is ineffective. And that is all of the goblin shots. In fact, not quite. There's this goblin here who's going to be shooting into this combat. He hits on the 5. Does it hit Lothlorien 1, 2, 3? Or the high elves on a 4+? That is a 1. It hits Lothlorien and kills. The Lothlorien forces there cannot afford to lose anyone in these fights for the ship. That is a big loss there for Lothlorien. Firing for the elves. This archer here is going to fire up behind him, but misses. Then in the combats we have the 2-on-1. The 2 win. He's trapped against the sea. He doesn't die on the first lot. Does he die on the second? Yes. They've killed him and have secured that boat. The next fight is this archer against 2. He's put up a good fight, but he has lost. Oh, but doesn't die and backs away. He's following the lead of the spearman before him, and he's holding firm. Next, we have a 1-on-1. And it goes to the goblin. Can the goblin kill him? He needs a 6. Yes! The goblins are making a comeback and another elf falls. We'll come now to the ninja who leapt off the cliff straight into combat. And he's not messing around. He is going 2-hand. In fact, they are both going to 2-hand. Oh, it goes to Lothlorien. And the 2-hand pays off. He's killed the high elf, leaping off that cliff straight into combat and a kill. That is incredible. Before the comments are flooded with complaints, yes, he technically couldn't have done that because he couldn't see him, but rule of cool, that was awesome. The final fight is an important one. It is 2-on-2. Lothlorien need to reclaim their ship. Oh, that's not good. Only a 2 high they've lost. And with no shield on the front guy, because he's not got a spear and shield combo, it's 5s. Oh, he lives. And they back away. End of turn 7, and that was another brutal turn. The goblins are chewing through elves, with the goblins fully in control of the centre again. Their kill tally is up to 10 now, and that includes 2 leaders and a banner. They are absolutely trashing the elves now. They've made a real comeback despite being just NPCs. And as far as the elves are concerned, it is very close between them now, with both
of the capital ships under attack. It's going to be a very close finish as we go into one of the final turns, turn 8.
And priority on a draw swings to Lothlorien.
End of turn 8 movement, and again we're just going full rule of cool. It was never intended for goblins to start using boats, but as they've ended up on one, they have sailed across and they are attacking the High Elf command ship. The rest of the goblins have just moved into combat where able. The Lothlorien forces have attacked. This guy attacked him in such a way that he wouldn't be able to get past him, meaning that the goblins would have to charge whoever's closest next turn. And these two just attacked to try and clear their ship. The High Elf Spearmen joined the fray against this Lothlorien ninja to try and keep control of their command ship. It's going to be, again, very tense, close fighting defending these capital ships. Before we get into the combat phase though, there are these two archers, and they're going to be shooting into this fight here. That's one hit there on a 6. Does it hit the High Elf on a 4+, or Lothlorien on a 1, 2, 3? It hits the High Elf, but it doesn't kill there on the 1. And that is, oh, not all of the shooting. There's this chap. He's going to shoot into this combat here. He misses on the 4. Combat phase, and we're going to start off again with this fight in the top right. It's the archer against 2 elves. The archer wins on the 6. Can he get a kill? Needing a 5+, and he's got him. He kills him, and the elf backs away onto the ship. The goblins are on the rampage. We'll come across now to the High Elf command ship. It's 2 on 1, and they are all going to two-hand. It goes to the High Elves there on the 6 and the 5, wounding him on 4s. They get the kill, and his reign of ninja terror is over. The next set of combats are these 1-on-1s. And again, both elves are going to be two-handing. It's High Elf on High Elf Swordsman against the Spearman, both two-handing. And this time it goes to Lothlorien needing just 4s. No, it's a 1. He backs away, trying to straddle the 2 ships there. We then have the Spearman and 1. This time the High Elf wins. The High Elf two-handing gets the kill. That is one step closer to claiming a massive cache of VPs, taking a capital ship. End of turn 8, and the fight for Elflantis is intense. Let's roll for turn 9 priority.
It goes to Lothlorien.
End of turn 9 movement, and now it is a case of just trying to survive until the end of the game. And Lothlorien are in a bit of difficulty here, as they only have 2 warriors left. The goblin has charged the elf up there, and here this elf is taking on 3, because as the goblins came in on the High Elf archer, this High Elf spearman abandoned his capital ship to help out to try and claim the Lothlorien ship. Because if they lose theirs to goblins, it doesn't affect the victory points. And they would rather take the enemy ship and lose theirs to goblins. It's the shoot phase now, and we have the 2 archers. They're going to go for this spearman here, the one who has left his ship behind to attack the enemy vessel. They're ignoring this fight because it is a clean shot on him,
and we're loosely interpreting the shoot nearest foe rule. But they both miss anyway. Then this chap here is going to shoot into this fight. He hits. Does he hit the Lothlorien or a 1 or 2 or 3? He does. He hits the Lothlorien. On a 6 it'll kill him. I think the goblins have sniped a good number out of combat here. Oh no, the 3. He doesn't kill him, and that fight will go ahead in the combat phase. In fact, we'll go straight into that fight now. It is 3 on 2 because the elf is going to shield. He needs to hold his ship to prevent the cascade of victory points. Oh, but he has lost the fight. Now, he has got a shield, so he's getting killed on 6s. Oh, it is a 5. He is safe. He backs away, and the high elves are going to get ready to attack him next turn. The next fight is this one here. It is the 1 high elf against 2 goblins. He's fighting normally. Cocked. Oh, he wins. But it's a 3. So he just pushes the goblins back. Final fight is the goblin archer against the elven spearman. The goblin wins. Can he kill him on a 6? Yes! Unbelievable! The goblin has killed the Lothlorien spearman, leaving just 1 Lothlorien model on the board going into turn 10. That is unbelievable from the goblins.
End of turn 9, and it is carnage. The goblin up at the top has killed the elf, and now there is just 1 Lothlorien elf remaining, although the high elves are not faring much better. Let's roll for the last turn, turn 10 priority. And it goes to Lothlorien. End of turn 10 movement, and everything is happening on these 2 command ships. The 2 goblins have surrounded the high elf, and here the Lothlorien elf charged, but being fleet-footed, the high elf has whipped around, dancing across the hulls of these 2 smaller boats to trap him and try and claim that ship. Before we get into the combats though, it is the shoot phase, and the 2 archers up here are going to be shooting into this combat. They're hitting on 5s. Oh, and they both miss there, a 1 and a 3. There is this archer though, he's shooting in as well, and he misses as well. A poor final volley from the goblins. In the combat phase, we have the high elf against 2 goblins. He is going to fight normally, and he wins there on the 6. Can he get a kill? He does, it's a 6. He's killed a goblin, and he's 1 step closer to reclaiming his command ship. That is good effort there from the elf, and another kill. That's more VPs. And then we come to the final combat of the game. It is 3 on 1. The high elves need this, and Lothlorien needs this. Lothlorien will automatically lose regardless of points if they are wiped off the table. So he is going to shield, and the high elves are going to fight normally. Oh, the high elves have won. They need 6s though, but these are double striked because their opponent is trapped. Oh, and they've got the 6. The Lothlorien elf is dead, and they have claimed their enemy's ship with the final sword blows of the game. And so we've reached the end of turn 10 and the end of the game. That was absolute carnage that encompassed the whole map before slowly concentrating down to that final scrap on the boats at the end. The victory points started off quite close.
For goblin kills, Rivendell got 8 and Lothlorien got 7. So that is 8-7.
Very close there. For opponent kill victory points, again, it was close, with Rivendell killing 6 for 12 points.
And Lothlorien killing 5 for 10 points. Although Rivendell managed to kill the enemy banner. They killed the Lothlorien banner, getting them an extra 5.
The biggest difference, however, was on the objectives. Rivendell destroyed 3, where Lothlorien only destroyed 1, which is 6-2, because they were worth 2 victory points each. And then right at the last gasp, Rivendell claimed their opponent's ship, getting a massive 15. That takes the final score to 35-13. So Rivendell have conclusively won that, although it has to be said that the Goblins still hold Elflantis. The Goblins, if we were counting it up, probably won that just on kills. They killed 2 leaders and a banner and a swathe of the elves. They probably killed more than either side put together and went on an absolute rampage. The Goblin King still very much alive and unharmed. I hope that you've enjoyed this battle report. I hope that you've enjoyed seeing naval action in Middle-earth. It's not something that we see every day, and it is something that I have always wanted to try. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.